Fans, this is Kurt DeVille with Counterpunch Boxing News. And you guys caught me in the middle of cooking, but I want to be a man of my word, so we're still doing the live stream. We're going to do a little bit. You guys see me exercise and do other shit. Bars. So just came from the grocery store. But we must address what's going on in the sport of boxing concerning Frank Warren, the lawyer of Dillian Whyte, Jeffrey Benz, right? And we got to get to it. All right, so Kenny B says, no, it won't happen. Archie Bold, I'm still waiting. Kurt DeVille, you're the best from Birmingham. Counterpunch to you, Archie Bold. Funny, that rhymes with gold. So, I'm going to make me some double chicken. So I had to get ready. So I'm getting everything prepared. Kick a little ass, you know. Let me see if this is better. Maybe that's a little better. Let me turn this light on because I think this is better. There we go. There we go. Because it's not, I think I'm killing the brightness of the whole deal. So, let's see. Kenny was the first, but I'm the second. Archie Bold, Legend of Arkansas. Hell no, it ain't going to happen because Frilly Whyte Undies is looking for every excuse to get out of the fight like he did the last fight against Otto. Ooh. What do you guys think about that one? Damn, he came in with that counter punch. He's saying he's trying to get out of the fight. Whyte needs to get his escrows in a row. I've heard some stuff in my day, but his lawyer did not even know how escrows work. How do you explain something like that? You know, that's a very good question. Let's get those likes up because we're coming in slowly. And let me bring you guys over here. Let me see if this will work. I don't know what is with this thing here. Can you guys hear me all right? Everyone is down on Big Baby Miller, and both of these cats, Fury and Whyte, have been caught on PEDs. Yeah, well, you know, Fury's is kind of weird, like a lot of them, because they kind of let Fury go. UCAD did, and then turned around and tried to, you know, give him some trouble about it later on, and I always thought that was weird. You don't, hey, be careful next time. Make sure you take your Wheaties. And then a year later come back on them and say, you know what? Second thought, you did do something wrong. So. I mean, you got to face it. None of these guys are saints, right? So, you're right. I mean, they've both been caught with PEDs. You know, Miller has special circumstances, though. Let's be real. That cat got caught with 3 different substances one time and then got caught again. So, what do you do? Both tested positive for BETs and got off lightly, unlike Miller. Dude, I just told you about Miller. Because, see, people, you need to understand, Miller intentionally tried to, hurt somebody. See, he hated Joshua so much, he was like, you know what? Fuck the cycle process. I'm going to come in full octane, and I'm going to come in with this juice. And that's what he did. Jarrell Miller came in on that juice, And dude, he didn't have juice. Jarrell Miller had juices. Jarrell Miller had juices, man. I mean, let's be real. He had juices, plural. He didn't just have one thing like that one thing I took. He had 3 different things. This dude had a whole cocktail, okay? So we can't talk about what the differences. The differences is, I think all of them deliberately tried to take something to get an edge. I'm not saying they didn't, but Jarrell had special circumstances. You know. But, I mean, karma's a bitch, though, because, look, Jarrell Miller could have got caught in any of his other fights that he got way less money, right? So he could have got busted a long time ago. He could have, but he didn't. Matter of fact, I know something. This is better. I think this is better. Let's try this. Yeah, I think that's better. So, it's special circumstances for Jarrell Miller. And then he gets caught back to back. It ain't like he got caught like 2006, then 2016, then 2000. No, bro. He got caught from 2019. Then they caught his ass and busted him again in 2020. So, you know, I mean, like, we don't even know if he even stopped. You know what I mean? And it's sad, though, you know? I mean, you're going to let... And I don't really believe performance-enhancing drugs is, you know, just because you take them, they're going to really make you do all that better. You still got to train. You still got to exercise. What people don't understand, you don't take that shit in like abracadabra. You're all big, buff, and bold. No, you still got to do the work. It just helps you do the work. You know, it's good for building, and it's good for healing, right? So it gives you certain advances that you wouldn't naturally get. But does that mean you're going to automatically want to fight? It doesn't. Ryan Waterson, no, I'm here, man. No problems. Carl Young, blessings on you. Alan Skill, praise the Lord. Jesus Christ Almighty. Hey, Kurt, the hacker who hacked your Instagram account blocked me, so I can't send you upcoming boxing news. Listen, Renee, I'm going to unblock you. Sorry about that. And I apologize to everybody that came to my Instagram because I had this guy. He was really trying to do a number on me. And he was a consistent bastard. Because what he would do is, like, I got it unlocked, right? I got it unlocked. And then he went back to Instagram, told Instagram, that's my account. They went and unlocked and blocked me out. Can't make this shit up. Can't make this shit up. Seriously. Because that's exactly what happened. I'm so disappointed in Andy. He should have took the Chisora fight. Well, I knew he wouldn't. That didn't surprise me. That did not surprise me. Smash the like buttons and please and thanks. Bacon123, please do. BWTM Sports and Gaming YouTube channel. How you doing? Did you hear about Bashir joining AJ? Yep. I did a video on it yesterday. Good stuff. Fury will test positive. Damn, London Walks. What you cooking? I'm cooking some adobo. So some chicken adobo. No problem. Got some, I'm gonna do wings later on, so I'm gonna put them in the freezer. And I'm just gonna do some legs today, nothing big at all. You know, put them in the pot, season them up real good, and let the rest do what it does. So, I don't think this is enough. Good enough to make me mad. might have to pull out some chicken wings and get it together. The fight will happen 100%. Whyte and his first fight win streak are going to sleep. Sound coming through fine, Kurt, all the way to from Liverpool. Alan Skill, thank you. Love your content, brother, from Mauritius. Counterpunch to you. Nick, Luck Leak. Big up, man. Kurt is the man. Appreciate it, man. Nah, Bruce is going, Whyte's going to win this one. If you don't like the contract, don't sign it. Bacon, 1, 2, 3. You're absolutely right. See, I get what, and you can talk about character. Character and integrity are like first cousins, right? They're like first cousins, you know? But basically, this is the story. Those guys were negotiating, and they were hearing demands from this lawyer, because this lawyer was pretty much talking, him and Ben Shalom, right? Because Shalom was a part of that. And they were talking. And they were bringing up desires and the things that they wanted to get done. One, like the escrow. They wanted that done. Okay, they wanted that in the escrow. That's business, you know. And what happened, they discussed it, but it was not implemented in the contract. So the question you ask yourself is, whose fucking fault is that? Like, whose fault is that if it's not in the contract? That's like, let's be real. That's the lawyer's fault. It's the lawyer's fault, because regardless of what you got on a text message, you know, and depending on where and how far they're trying to take it based on those messages, because messages are valid as well. We know that they're valid, but does it mean that they have to by it if it's not in the contract? Fury is going to put his weight on Whyte, and that's it for Whyte. Whyte is going to knock out Fury, American Patriot, 1776. Well, I think, guys, that one, this is a little bit complicated to a degree, because we could chop it all up and say, you know what, Frank Warren, he bullshitted the lawyer, had the lawyer make Eddie Hearn sign, because you know that was a deadline, right? That was a deadline, and I think the pressure came and the persuasion came, people, when they started texting instead of doing more implementation on the contract. So when they stopped putting shit in the contract and started going to the texts, I think that's how they got around it. Shout out to Renee Padilla. Hey, Kurt, do you think if Gervonta Tank Davis was signed with Eddie Hearn, he would get the big fights he would like Haney, Lopez, Loma? He would do more. He would get more, but see, this is what'll happen. If Tank Davis moves to welterweight, he will be back on a freeze. He will be no different than Terrence Crawford was. Why? Because Al Heyman has all the fucking guys there. He has Ennis. He has Keith Thurman. He has, you know, that was a potential fight for Tank Davis, Keith Thurman. He has Errol Spence. He had Sean Porter. He has Danny Garcia. Danny Garcia would probably be the first person that he would have trouble with getting a fight with. Why? Because he's with Al Heyman. We all know Tank can fight. He's fighting at 140, right? So I think, and I see him going to 147. He's already been knocking around, you know, Red Cash and those guys, those welterweights, so he can compete, and his punching power is valid. So I think if he went with Eddie Hearn, what would happen once he moves up? At 140, he probably would do pretty good. But at 147, where all the bitches of the bunches are, that's where he would have the problem with Eddie Hearn. Because Eddie Hearn already said about Terrence Crawford, he's like, it's nothing I can do for Terrence Crawford because I don't have those fighters. You hit a brick wall when you get to Haymanville. Okay? Appreciate the super chat though, brother. Smith and West. Marco, you're probably right. Whyte has to make Fury carry that weight around the ring. Sorry, guys, I missed it. Is the fight possibly not happening? Samuel, we don't know. We don't know if the fight's happening or not. Hopefully, they're just playing hardball. But that was a heated argument. And then when I get this food on, we're going to look at it and listen to it together if you guys didn't hear it. So we're going to do that. But first, let me put this stuff on. All you got to do is add my garlic and then put the real stank on it, which that's my secret ingredients. And I ain't telling nobody. So, why has Fury been running from Whyte all this time and he's fighting Whyte because he has no other option? It is his mandatory. Seems to me they're trying to get Whyte to back out of this fight. No, this is what it is. It ain't that he didn't have, he had a lot of options. Tyson Fury had more options than anybody else in the sport of heavyweight boxing. Why do I say that? He had an opportunity to face Alexander Usyk. He had an opportunity to fight Anthony Joshua. They didn't want those fights. It was all a smoke screen. They knew they would fight Wilder before fighting Joshua, but they didn't want the public to know that. Now, did Tyson Fury think that Joshua was going to lose to Alexander Usyk? You can't say he didn't know because he's already made comments to saying, well, I don't want Usyk. He said, I don't want Joshua to fight Usyk because then Usyk would be messing up my retirement money. He said that. He said that before that fight took place. Okay? So, he had an opportunity to fight the guy that beat the guy that he wanted to fight. And that guy was Alexander Usyk. He mentioned he wanted a tune-up fight. So he chose to fight Dillian Whyte over Alexander Usyk, which I don't know, that could be a good or bad thing as far as skill and trickiness and stuff like that. He didn't have to worry about like trying to catch Usyk. You know, and pin him down because I think that would be the only way he would beat Usyk because that Tyson Fury that came in and fought Wilder, that was a great fight. But what made that fight great was Wilder was overtrained, overweight, too much muscle, ran out of gas, and Tyson Fury wasn't in great shape. So you had between those guys and their trials and tribulations, their own stuff they were dealing with. That's what made that fight what it was. That's why that fight didn't look like the second fight. See, the second fight with Fury and Wilder was just a fucking destruction. He beat the shit out of Wilder. Wilder got a couple right hands in the first round, and after that, he got beat up. But it wasn't like that in the third fight. So, there you go, guys. That in a nutshell. So Tyson Fury had options. Oh, he had options. He just picked the easiest one, the one that made more sense to him. And then, you know, I think they made a deal like, well, we're getting the lion's share of the money. Mauricio didn't have a problem because, you know, he's a politician. Shit, he don't care what happens. He doesn't care. You know? He doesn't give a shit about that. Whyte needs to bring his best and focus, and he trains after promotions. Well, here's the thing, though. According to Frank Warren, the promotions were mandatory. So that's a whole different, that's another question. Were they mandatory? Was it mandatory for Dillian Whyte to be there? And I would have to say no, he wasn't. He wasn't, because had he been obligated to be there, I think he would have. You know what I mean? And I feel that if that lawyer knew that in the contract, he would have opted Dillian Whyte to be there. That's simple. So, there we go. So, we are going to listen to this together. All right. Hey guys. All right. Let's go to it here. Because I went over the whole thing this morning, man. When I seen it, I was like, yo, what the hell? So, let's check this out. And we're going to break it down bit by bit. Let me knock some of these comments out first. Fury was knocked down, yes, multiple times in his career, but he always got back up to win the fight. Once Whyte is hurt, he's done. Well, I mean, he survived against Oscar Rivas, because Oscar Rivas did him in. He got him in the 9th round of that fight. London walks. There's no surprise in this match. Fury will retire unbeaten. Rob Riv shows live 01. Good evening, Kurt. Good evening to you. Tyson Fury has to buy Dillian's mother a ringside ticket or the fight is off. Paul Meadows. I heard that was one of those things that was discussed. None of that's going to happen because Dillian is not going to show up. I would like to see either one of them get knocked out. Me too. One of them. Either one of them. Hearing them two go at it in the interview, I'm not surprised certain fighters never get made. Fights never get made. Vincent N., what's good? Everything's good, brother. Cooking, getting it in. Okay, let's see. Just to remind everyone, there's no such thing as an invincible fighter. Xavier Williams, amen to that. Counterpunch. Hawk, Kurt, what do you think about the next fight for Canelo? I think it's a good fight, an undefeated fighter. That's a champion in another weight class. I mean, you know, shit, he could have done worse. Had he done something else, it would have been other people saying he could have done something else. That's it, man, you know, shit. Like a lot of guys, man, let me get this speaker. Get some sound up in here. There we go. All right.
To use this feature, please make sure your app is running and can access the internet.
All right, now, let's see. Whyte is going to make an excuse and duck Fury. Whyte is going to KO Fury. True Blue, this Gypsy King runs from no one. Tyson will beat up Dillian Whyte and stop him. Dillian Whyte is not the same league as Wilder. Okay, True Blue, we're going to have to find that out, man. Fury is the one that doesn't show up for the fight. Let's get real. That's happened before. Ask Mr. Bitter Guy. Kurt, T-bone or ribeye? No, this is just chicken, man. I'm trying to stay off the... I love steak. Ribeye is my favorite, but it's just chicken today, man. Fury is one. Okay, remember Whyte has already made Fury cry with body shots and sparring. I don't know. I heard something different. I don't care about the dance. I just want to see the fight till Dillian Whyte puts on his lily white panties and gets into the ring. I don't want to hear none of this nonsense. He signed the contract. He did sign the contract. So we're going to go over a lot of this, man. We're going to go over a lot of this. D-Town Blaster, man, where you been? Counterpunch to you, Kurt, in the chat, man. I was just in Dallas Monday, so man, I didn't even think because I haven't heard from you in a minute. Okay, Fury record is poor. It will be a match of who has the better gas tank. Everyone knows who can last longer. Okay. Jeffrey Benz didn't end up putting conditions like having DW money in an escrow or having a specific ticket count in the contract, and that was their fault for whatever reason. But Kakino. Good counterpunch. Now, let's hear this is in its entirety. Okay, you guys ready? You got your popcorn and everything? Let me check on this food. Hold on. Okay, cool. All right. All right, here we go, guys. We're about to play this entire interview where you have in this corner Frank Warren. In the red corner, you have Frank Warren, weighing 168 pounds, decked with silver gold hair. And in the blue corner, you have Jeffrey Benz representing Dillian, the body snatcher Whyte, weighing about 215 pounds, approximately 5'6", with a tie. So here we go.
I'm working on the first bid. But Frank, where are we on the tickets that Dillian asked to buy before you sold him all to Ticketmaster? He hasn't been given.
Hold on a second.
Well, I understand that while I was gone, Frank managed to breach our confidential agreement and read it. But putting that aside, I don't know what else he said. But Frank, where are we on the tickets that Dillian asked to buy before you sold him all to Ticketmaster? He hasn't been given a chance to buy any. And where are we on the comps that he asked for? And where are we on the escrow that we've asked for? And we don't have any escrow of Dillian's purse. We've been asking for that for over a month. These are just basic things, putting aside the economic issue. So go ahead, Frank. I want to hear from you.
Did you sign a contract for this bout?
We did, Frank, on the representation by your son that we would have further negotiations. You were part of that discussion. I haven't even talked to you. Am I going to first bid?
Hey, are you
Jeff,
going to
let Frank speak.
Jeff, there's other people got views besides yours. So let's just go through this. You signed a bout agreement. In that bout agreement, where does it say anything about escrow accounts, tickets, or any of these things that you mentioned? Where does it? You're a lawyer. Where does it say anything in that contract you signed?
Hey, Frank, if you want to get into a legal debate about Swiss law, which is what apparently applies to this, I'm happy to do it, man. I'm happy to do it.
Answer the question.
I'm answering. Frank, baby, are you going to let me answer?
I'm not a lawyer. I left school when I was
Are you going to let me answer? Frank,
you're a lawyer.
Are you going to let me
If
answer?
you advise your clients to sign the bout agreement.
Okay, Jeff, you heard what Frank saying, so now it's your chance to answer it. Were these things in the contract?
I get the
On you go, Jeff.
time. We signed a form bound agreement. We had negotiations that said we were going to have further conversations about all these other elements. Frank should know that. He hasn't been told that by his lawyer or by his son. It's not my fault. So, Frank, tell me where we are on get Dillian's money guarantee. Answer my question, Frank. Why don't you want to put Dillian's
Properly.
Frank?
I'm going to pause right there because I got something to counterpunch because this is something that's you can easily figure this out, right? Jack Stevenson, I'm glad you came, man. Schedule's been mashed up lately anyway. Hope you're good. Everything is good, man. Don't take Dillian for granted, UK, England. Listen, what Frank is saying is like, regardless of what I text you, regardless of what you think, as far as the other elements. See, the other elements, what Frank is saying is like, well, you signed the contract. You don't sign a contract and then talk about other elements afterwards. You talk about that shit then. See, doing that, what they're doing, that's almost like selling a car to somebody, right? Anybody ever sold a car to anybody? You have a car. I have a car outside. I sell my car to someone. And that guy's saying, hey, man, I'm gonna give you $7,000 for your car. But we're going to talk about another $2,000 once you get something fixed for me. But it's like, okay, wait. If you gave me the money and I gave you the title, that's it. Like, you can't say, well, hey, man, no, I could say, yeah, all right. Yeah, that's good. Give me the money. He gives me the $7,000. And then what I do in return, I take the $7,000, give him the car. Have a nice day. Then that's like him saying, come back, but wait a minute, man, you know what we talked about. And I say, you know what? Yeah, we did talk about it, man, but you gave me the $7,000 or whatever. And I don't want to put more into your car. I've got the $7,000. Right? And then he says, well, okay, but I still want those things fixed on the car, like you said. I'm going to give you more money. I don't care what the money you're going to give me. I don't want your damn money. I got the $7,000. Take that shit and get somebody else to fix it because it now belongs to you. When Dillian Whyte was advised by this guy, Jeffrey Benz, to sign the contract, that should have been in the contract. Because you can't trust. There is no trust in business, especially with people that you half-ass trust anyway. You think Dillian Whyte trusts Frank Warren anyway? Do you think he trusted Frank Warren or anybody that was around him dealing in this whole situation? Do you think it really made Dillian Whyte feel a little shitty once Eddie Hearn lost that purse bid? Something in Dillian Whyte's stomach dropped when that purse bid hit for all that money. But it was a sacrifice on the behalf of Frank Warren. Because I think when Frank Warren knew, as soon as I bid for this much money, I'm not doing anything into this. Fuck that private jet. Fuck that escrow. It's not in the contract. We don't have to do it. We just said that to smooth things over. Let's continue.
Why don't you want to put Dillian's money in a place that's protected?
It is protected.
What's wrong with that? Where is it then, Frank?
Let me just
Where
tell
is
you
it?
something. Let me just tell you something.
On you go,
All the
Frank.
things
On you go, Frank.
You've signed an agreement. You're his lawyer. So if you're worried about the money, then he should be looking to you because you advised him to sign it. And if there's a problem, if I was him, I'd sue you if I don't get paid because you advised him to sign it.
Jeff, is that not a fair point?
Hey. Counterpunch. Let's get a like for what Frank Warren said. You can like Frank Warren. You could hate Frank Warren. You could be indifferent to Frank Warren. But what he said, it was 100% dead on. You can't argue with that shit. You're a lawyer, so you know each and everything that you discuss has to be done on the fucking contract. You know what I mean? Cameron Wilson, escrow. Okay, listen. Escrow works like this. Escrow account is a safe account where the money could be secured without it going anywhere. Okay, just like like actors. Like if I do a big film, and in that film they're going to pay me 250 grand to do this film, which, that's not a lot compared to an actor, right? I'm just looking at my terms. So if I get paid 250,000 to do a film, well, in the contract, that will be in an escrow account because if the production runs out of money, I still will have that set aside for me because that didn't happen to me before. Okay? See, a contract could mean, hey, you owe me a certain amount of money. Well, it didn't really matter if they ran out of money because they didn't have the money to pay me. Fuck what the contract says. Yes, the contract says they have to pay me, but then when can they pay me? Even if we took them to court in arbitration, which that almost happened to me about 5 years ago. And I did the show in Savannah and I signed a contract for a certain amount of money. They ran out of money doing the show, filming the film. Well, I knew I was in the right. My union was like, they owe you. But then they're telling my union, hey, we're going to pay, so we don't want to go into arbitration. So the escrow account in that same film, the star on that show, which was Daniel Radcliffe, Harry Potter, he got his money. Why? Because it was in escrow. So the escrow account that they put aside for him secured him and guaranteed him money regardless of what happens, especially under circumstances like what happened. And what happened is the production ran out of money. They didn't have enough money to pay the crew. They didn't have enough money to pay us. They didn't have enough money to pay anybody else. See, we were the secondary. I was a stunt. I doubled a guy. So they owed me a certain amount of money, right? The contract said this is what I'm owed. But if something happens where they don't have the money to pay, they have to come up with that money from somewhere, right? But the arbitration has to take place because it then has to be filed as arbitration because they haven't paid us. So in this situation is referring to boxing. What Jeffrey Benz is saying, why isn't it in an escrow? Well, the question is, why the fuck ain't it in this contract? No, it wasn't in Harry Potter. Daniel Radcliffe is Harry Potter. He did a film that I was in called Beast of Burden. So, yeah, that I was in. I was in that film with him. So, with cars, there's things called lemon laws, depending on. Okay, yeah, that's lemon laws, though. I'm not talking about something that breaks down. But if you buy something as is, shit, I don't think they even have that in Louisiana. Tried getting a ticket, could only get one, which I had to get a coach ticket, in which was only valid if you got the coach, which left from reading. I live in London. What the fuck? He wants to make the big money, and he wants to decide the side deal. He has to be champion to get in there and take the belt. Well, look. Dillian Whyte should have been looking at him sideways for doing that. Because there is no fucking way, no way that a lawyer would advise somebody to do anything, especially, see, that's a big deal. That's money. That's securing money. So the question is, why is he just now talking this shit in fronting Frank Warren? And Frank Warren's like, dude, you're the lawyer. Why didn't you see that coming? Let's hit that like button. Let's hit the like button.
You've signed the contract.
Not at all.
You're his lawyer.
Not at all. Not at all. Frank's beating around the bush. He won't answer my questions.
But Jeff, is there a contractual obligation? Hang on, Jeff, you're Simon. Jeff, is there a contractual obligation in the contract for Frank to put money in escrow?
There isn't. We agreed to
So with respect...
We agreed.
Hang on, Jeff, I haven't finished. Hang on, Jeff, I haven't finished. With respect, if there's not a contractual obligation to put in escrow, why are you asking for something that's not a contractual obligation? Then.
Ask Mr. Warren then why.
I'm asking you because you're the one that's negotiating the contract.
Why was Dillian Whyte shamed by Mr. Warren for not going?
That's not the question I asked you, Jeff. Jeff, I asked you. You're putting it on Frank's toes. Hang on, Jeff. Putting it on Frank's toes about escrow. If it's not in the contract, why would you ask for something that you've had your client sign a contract on that doesn't reference that in the contract?
Did you hear what that guy said? I mean, this is the host. Like, if you knew that, why would you get Dillian Whyte to sign something that was incomplete or was not up to standards? Counterpunch. Look, it doesn't matter what a person tells you. A person can tell you, yeah, we'll get him. And I know what the fuck happened. Frank Warren and his son and all that, they buttered it over after he signed the contract or a little bit before he was going to sign to make sure he signed or whatever. If it was before he signed, they were, oh, yeah, we're going to get you, get Dillian Whyte a jet. We're going to make sure everything's in escrow. Yeah, we're going to do that. I don't doubt that Frank Warren said that. Okay? LU, thank you for the 20 pounds that you dropped in here. Thank you for the love, brother. Thank you for the sticker. Awesomeness. This fight is going to be good. American Patriot, hello. Okay, yeah, exactly. Nikki Blue Eyes Austin in the house. Kurt, if the fight does go ahead, which I think it will, who do you got or do you want to win? I don't care. I mean, I really don't care because, see, if Dillian Whyte wins, he can get his revenge on someone like Anthony Joshua. You know, that's if Joshua loses, because he already said if Joshua loses. We can see a fight like that, and then Joshua, you know, he could have an opportunity to be a 3-time champion if he can beat Dillian Whyte. You know what I mean? That's if he doesn't have to fight, which he doesn't have to fight Tyson Fury again. So, I mean, I don't care how it goes. Or he can go for a full undisputed and take on Usyk if Usyk beats Joshua. Either way, if Joshua beats Usyk or Usyk beats Joshua, the fight that's going to happen would be whoever wins out of the second fight. So if Whyte beats Fury, then what he could say is, he could go and say, you know what? I want to fight Usyk or I want to fight Joshua. That fight will be made. Either way, he wins. I think Whyte would fight Usyk, and I think Whyte would fight Joshua. He wants Joshua, so I know that fight will get made. They're both with the same promoters, half-ass, right? So that fight will be made. It would be good for boxing. Now, if Tyson Fury won, we don't know what'll happen because Tyson might say he might retire, go home, get high. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, we don't know what Tyson Fury's going to do. He's a live wire. He's a wild card. He's a very talented guy, but he is unpredictable. He's uncontrollable. He's a lot of those things. So I don't know. I mean, I don't know because see if he retires, you know, I'd see him coming back anyway. I think Whyte is hungrier than Fury in his silk pajamas. It's a minor too. The guy wants 20 tickets and a private jet. I mean, that shit's not, that's not unheard of, and that's not just too much. That's my thing. Like, dude, come on, give this guy what he asked for because he's not asking for much. He's not. He's not asking for like fucking another $500,000 or anything like that. He's not asking for a lot. Poor Spartan, Fury sure is being entitled diva. Frank hasn't got the cash to put in escrow. Just check company's house. Scance rants. Why is that? Miss Matchroom can lowball everybody, but people crying because Whyte got 20%. Well, that's a case-by-case basis, Scance rants, because we don't know who you're talking about. So if you specify, I can go into detail and compare that to this, where they did the bare minimum for Dillian Whyte. They did it because that was the bare minimum. They did it because they could. They did it because they don't respect him. I don't even think it was money at all. I think they just said, you know what, fuck Dillian Whyte. We're going to do we're going to do the less that we possibly can. And it's showing throughout these negotiations that they're doing that. That's simple. That's simple to understand. They're doing that shit. You know? Who cares about Dillian's feelings? LOL. This is boxing first, to fight, then the money. That's how it works. Christ, this is getting ridiculous. Sammy Ali. Frank can make this easy by giving Whyte a friendly, welcoming treatment. Well, if they just took care of him and treated him like they really respected him, which I don't think they do, they would have had their way. And I think it's a way you do certain things. I do feel not everything has to be in a contract for you to do certain things. If you say you're going to do something, it's just in good faith to do it. And I think that's what the lawyer is getting into. But, I mean, he's a fucking lawyer, so he should know better than to believe or trust whatever a person says you're doing business with. That's why you got lawyers. You know what I'm saying?
Am I talking non-commercial words to you guys?
Yeah, you are.
We had a discussion.
You're talking non-commercial words.
We had a discussion. I'm sorry. Listen, would you just give me a second? We had a discussion with the other side about all of this, and we had a deadline to sign a form bout agreement that Mr. Warren wants to read a bunch of other things into, including Dillian's obligations to promote the fight and do other things, which aren't in there either. And you now want to hold me to that standard? We had a discussion where we were going to have a further discussion. This is what goes on in the real world of business when you do commercial deals. It might not go on in Frank's little boxing world, but this is what real deal makers do.
Frank, would
and
you
that's the
argue,
discussion I had.
Frank, would you
meet the deadline?
Frank, would you argue that you've done everything by the book, Frank?
Listen, if I haven't sued me, this contract, I've abided by it. It took them nearly 4 weeks to sign a contract. They signed it an hour before it was due to be signed. Clause 11 of that contract, it says the boxers shall reasonably promote the bout, the WB sanctioned the bout, and the WBC heavyweight championship positively in their social media accounts. Dillian has not posted one thing about this fight. Not one.
So you guys heard that. According to Frank Warren, in that contract that it took them so long to get signed, it specifically said in what was it, page 14? Right? No mandatory press conference. Well, does it show anywhere that, I mean, he has to reasonably promote the fight? He hasn't done that. So the thing is, it ain't that Frank Warren should say, oh, sue me. It's that basically, Frank, if you feel that way and that's true, you should sue them. Okay, so it's really the other way around when you're talking about what a person is obligated to do based on a contract. So if the contract is end all and be all, well, that's exactly the standards that they should be limiting themselves and obeying. What's in the freaking contract? Frank's desperate for promotion. Business must be bad for him. This is the point. Frank will sure Whyte in the future. Will sue Whyte. Yeah, I mean, if that's what if Dillian Whyte doesn't promote, and I don't really understand that. Like, dude, I understand he's bitter and mad, but at this point, come on, dude, you're fighting Tyson Fury. You signed to fight Tyson Fury. Don't act like you're not fighting Tyson fucking Fury. You're fighting the fucking guy. You know what I mean? So, like, why wouldn't you at least, hey, promote this fight like you know how to do? One moment. So we have Frank Warren saying, hey, this is in the contract, right? He must, how did he put it?
One thing about this fight, not one.
Why is that, Jeff?
Is that not contractual obligation, Jeff, Mr. Lawyer?
Well, Mr. Warren, it is not contractually defined as to what that means. You tell me what's reasonable, buddy.
I'll tell you
What's it mean?
It means it should be.
I know what you think it means. I think you think it means he should be on it every day. He has no obligation.
Well, he's not
in there. And let's talk about how long it took to do this agreement. You guys represented to us a form of agreement that turned out to not be the form agreement. You misrepresented to us what the form agreement was, and when we got to the bottom of it, we had to go back to what was actually the form agreement. Now, talk about why that takes time. Ask your guys.
Tell me something. Why did you sign this agreement? There's no escrow in it. You're obliged to do things promotionally. Why did you sign it? You're not going to do these things. And you want more things that are not in the contract.
Right.
You're a lawyer. I'm not a lawyer. You're the lawyer. You're the lawyer. What are you doing? You've obviously not protected all the things you're asking for because obviously, in your view, you've not protected your client's interest. You should have advised them to sign the contract.
Not at all, Frank. Frank, show me where it is that we have to do any of the things that you've said, other than reasonably.
Can I ask you two boys, besides tittle tattle, is there any contractual breaches on either side? Because on one side there seems to be an obligation for Dillian to make appearances, which you're disputing, Dillian's lawyer, and on the other side of it, you're making observations about there should be an escrow account. Frank, at the beginning of the conversation, I don't want to throw you under the bus, but you mentioned that money had been placed in escrow. It seems that it hasn't been. If there's no contractual obligation to do that,
the offer was made.
Well, okay, an offer was made to place escrow.
What I said to you, I said on the 26th of February, my son sent a text to Jeff at 17:08 saying that we provide a private plane to bring him over. Although we're not obliged to do it, it's not contractual. None of this is.
Why are we arguing about escrows then, Frank? Why is there a reference to escrow if you don't have to do it? It's not contractual obligation.
Let me finish then, and I'll explain. Because they asked for the money to go into escrow, and we agreed to do that, subject to him showing up to the launch press conference.
Is that right, Jeff?
You want to partially read your son's text to me? I can read you the whole lot of them if you want.
Is that right,
Jeff? A
Jeff?
whole bunch of emails to.
Is that
that
right,
was
Jeff?
not accurate.
No,
that
it's
was
not.
not accurate.
Read it.
Sure. Let me go back to. This is tied to making. This is me to your son. This is tied to making progress on incentives and nailing down comps, credentials, access, and the ticket buy, as well as getting the escrow nailed down. You failed to mention that text. Probably two texts before your son's that you just read from. So if you want to play this game, I'm interested in this. I'm tell the whole story. I'm looking at the 20. I'm looking at the 26th of February text in my phone right now, Frank. In my phone, not a selective one your son printed for you or whatever you got. But if you want to get into that battle, I got the whole record. I am not at all concerned about the accuracy of what I say and what I said. I'm in a regulated
Let me ask you a question.
Jeff,
Let me ask you a question, for once try and be honest. Was there an offer made to you to put the money into escrow or not?
There was never any offer to put the money into escrow that was with an escrow agreement and terms and the ability to do it. None of it. You wanted us to fly.
Guys, I've got to say,
promise and a wing and a prayer.
Jeff, Frank, it seems to me one of you's not telling the truth, so who is it?
You're a lawyer, Jeff, and I'm going to...
So, before we go forward, right? Who do you think is telling the truth? Who do you guys think is really telling the truth? Shout out to Ebo Sosa. I wonder why every time I see Frank Warren, I think about that old man from Poltergeist 2. Tyson's going to lose and turn back into a coke hole. AJ's going to lose and Usyk's going to spark Whyte. Ooh. Wow. Okay. Thank you for Ebo. Appreciate the super chat. Appreciate the love. So who do you think is telling a lie? Who do you think right now is